all considered different aspects of the same incorporated being. Now, the Hatha school, which focuses on the physical aspects of yoga, is by far the most popular form of yoga that is practiced in the West. Hatha translates into sun and moon, in which the solar and lunar energies of the body are united in balance. Hatha yoga is also linked, at least historically, to the mysterious practice of Kundalini yoga, which in itself is linked to ancient tantric ritual sexual practices and postures. So the postures of Hatha yoga are linked to the postures and positions of ritual tantric sex. The Hatha poses and postures help to clear the mind and integrate different parts of the mind and body, activating different vital organs. Hatha also integrates breath control with the physical postures, helping to keep the body, mind, and soul in balance and harmony. Now, Kundalini, or Kundalani, which in Sanskrit means coiled up or snake-like, is essentially serpent power in the yogic tradition. Kundalini yoga is a way to awaken the energy serpent. This energy serpent is curled up in the back part of the root chakra, which is at the base of the spine. Awakening the Kundalini or Kundalani serpent, which is curled up inside all of us in a 3.5 turn or swirl, can bring about the manifestation of supernatural psycho-spiritual energy. Now, as this Kundalini or Kundalini serpent awakens, the practitioner experiences bizarre physical sensations, including psychic power, spiritual ecstasy or bliss, and can actually transcend the self, a spiritual and physical altered state of consciousness. Now, in this yogic practice, the Kundalini serpent is a type of divine being, a vital life-sustaining force in the body, a type of liquid light in which the yogi arouses or activates the mystical serpent energy, bringing it up through his or her body, activating the chakras in rapid succession, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, until the crown chakra is reached, which is, of course, in the head or the mind. This serpent energy can actually open new pathways to the nervous system. And a person's body must be properly prepared for the massive shock to his or her system. If the yogi is not prepared, he or she could go insane or conceivably die. Kundalini yoga has its roots in pre-Aryan, pre-Vedic spirituality, and may be the most ancient of the yoga schools. Kundalini is considered a sacred, mystical, and spiritual aspect in tantric psychology, physiology, and cosmology. With its own ancient sacred texts, own sacred art, own sacred magic or alchemy, own sacred science, and sacred ritual observances, based upon the ideals of a balanced union between opposite poles. Kundalini energy is considered to be female in origin, and once awakened, unites with the male cosmic force as it rises upward. Carnal pleasure, sexual activity, awakens the Kundalini energy, awakens the serpent, invoking the male, the Shiva, and female, the Shanti. Delaying orgasm for as long as possible stimulates the upward movement of the Kundalini serpent. So essentially, awakening the Kundalini serpent is nothing less than ritual sex magic, with sexual activity and genitalia as being both protective and healing energies. Many of the features associated with yoga today were discovered, invented, and or developed via tantric practitioners. For example, the use of mantras, and the sacred art of the mandala. Sexuality and fertility have always been basically been at the center of humanity's religious and sacred practices. And tantric is perhaps the most potent example of this simple historical fact. In ancient tantric yoga, potent energy, kala, exists in the form of pulsating vaginal vibrations that are produced by a woman's sexual arousal or during her orgasm. Now, the goddess Kali, also known as Kalika, her name is derived from this sacred sexual energy, the Kala, a pure and primal energy. Fertility festivals and ritual sex, the postures and poses and positions associated with these fertility festivals were practiced by the ancients in the name of Kali. Now, to the west, Kali is a dark, black, fierce goddess filled with destructive power. But to Kali worshippers, especially the ancient Kali worshippers, who also sacrificed both animals and human beings to her, Kali was the great goddess responsible for all life, from conception to death. Yoganini Tantra, an ancient text of 28 chapters, whose author and date of origin is unknown, is directly linked to the worship of the goddess Kali. The Yoganini Tantra describes yoni mandala, sacred sites or pithas, where the ritual yoga, sex magic, and worship will have the best results. It basically tells you where to perform the ritual sex magic. This is a very spiritual, sexually liberating text that tells of how a female is to be adorned and ornamented during ritual tantric kundalini sex magic. Now, in Chapter 8 of the Yoganini, female spiritual beings come into being, into existence out of the particle waves, the light of Kali's energy, as the kundalini snake rises up the chakra system. Now, the lotus becomes a sacred symbol that is linked towards the holy wisdom that is to be found between the legs of a woman that is worshipped as Shakti, the divine feminine essence. So, the ritual positions and postures of this sacred yoni worship, over the course of centuries, becomes infused into Hatha Yoga's physical routines, the routines of the body, and its development to its fullest potential, bringing the practitioner of these sacred poses closer to the mystical union with the divine, and into the spiritual state of self-realization, a closer relationship between the individual soul and the universe. All right, with that thought, we're going to take another musical break. When we return, we're going to examine Hatha Yoga's arrival in the United States during the late 19th century and the healing arts evolution during the 20th century and its eventual, corporatization and acceptance into the mainstream of American life.